Hello guys, DJ Bagpuss here and welcome back to Analysing Arsenal, and this is my match preview of the Premier League encounter as Leicester City host Arsenal in Arsene Wenger's penultimate Premier League game and his penultimate match as Arsenal manager. But before that, I just want to say, ladies and gentlemen, that I really do apologise that there was no Analysing Arsenal video on Sunday for Arsenal's Premier League encounter against Burnley in Arsene Wenger's final home game as Arsenal manager in Arsenal's final home Premier League match of the season. And there was a reason for this, like, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't just, forget that I was running a YouTube channel. Basically, I ate or drank or just under regular stress, something in my body made my stomach so angry, like a bomb went off in my stomach. And there was literally 2 outlets to this bomb. So I was in no state to do videos whatsoever. So I really do apologise that there was no Analysing Arsenal video on Sunday. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you, before I get into my match preview of Leicester City against Arsenal, I'm going to be giving you my thoughts and feelings to the game in the Premier League at the Emirates Stadium as Arsenal host Burnley in Arsene Wenger's final home Premier League match in this video before we actually get into the match review. So, you get in 2 for the price of 1 in this very video. So, and also, I just want to say, guys, very, very quickly that I really do appreciate you guys. It's been a crazy couple of days, but I'm here to do you guys a video, so I really hope you enjoy. So sit back, relax, get some food, get some drink, and let's get stuck in to the match review before we get into the match preview, because what a big game it was on Sunday. Actually, maybe not in terms of Premier League points, well, actually, maybe, yeah, it is, important in terms of Premier League points, because, Arsenal and Burnley, are really the only sides that are competing for that top 6 spot. Really, kind of, we have basically guaranteed 6th place or, finished 7th, really. So what I mean by that is that we could finish 6th or finish 7th. We ain't going to finish any lower than that, really. And Burnley were the only team, really, that could overtake us, really. A win on Sunday would basically guarantee that Arsenal would guarantee finishing in 6th, really. And even if we finish below Burnley, both are going to get European football for next season. I think if you finish 7th, do you get an Europa League spot? I'm pretty sure Burnley are in the Europa League next season. So regardless of that, it wouldn't really matter if you finish 6th or when you finish 7th, because, we've guaranteed Europa League football for next season, really. But sentimental value was certainly at the forefront because it was Arsene Wenger's final home Premier League match as Arsenal manager. And, you can't take anything away from Arsene Wenger, that there is a lot of impotence and emphasis on Arsene Wenger, because without Arsene Wenger, I don't think we would have got a brand new stadium to the high level standard that the Emirates Stadium is basically today without the involvement of Arsene Wenger. Arsene Wenger had such a huge role to play in the transition from leaving Highbury to moving to the Emirates Stadium, and also the development for the Emirates Stadium. There was a lot of decisions that were Arsene Wenger's decisions. He had a very active role in producing the stadium, and we have got a very luxuriative Emirates Stadium to show for that, and we have to thank him for that. And with everything, really, we deserve to give Arsene Wenger the send-off that he well and truly deserves for serving 22 years as Arsenal manager. And you can't take that away from him. You can't take away the absolutely amazing things that he achieved in his first 10 years, and also some of the business moves that he made in the second half of his Arsenal career. You can't take that away from him, and he deserves the utmost praise, respect, love, dedication, and these few Premier League matches to, send him off in a blaze of glory and say thank you for everything that you have done for Arsenal Football Club, really. And, you can say what you like about Arsene Wenger, you can say what you like about Arsenal, but when Arsenal do any kind of, presentations or celebrations or send-offs, there's always class. Arsenal are a classy club, and we always do stuff with class. And what I saw on Sunday, not just in terms of what the football was actually played over that 90 minutes, but the entire day in general, and the, send-off that Arsene Wenger got at the Emirates Stadium, not only was it emotional, but there was a touch of class to it, and we really did, send him off and send him out of the Emirates Stadium in a blaze of glory. And frankly, that is what he deserves, really. And what kind of has baffled me recently in the last couple of weeks is, despite all of the love and affection and positivity that Arsene Wenger has got, all of the praise that he's got from everybody around football, looking, and after the news had broken out that Arsene Wenger is leaving Arsenal, all of the praise and love and affection that he received, you know, it was justified. You know, it was 110% justified. However, in saying that, there's been a lot of negativity with all of the praise that's gone to Arsene Wenger. All of the negativity has been thrown to the Arsenal fans, because a lot of people are criticising Arsenal fans because these are the Arsenal fans that wanted Arsene Wenger to leave Arsenal, and these are now the Arsenal fans that are, you know, showcasing Arsene Wenger with love and praise. You know, already a couple of months ago, these Arsenal fans were legit calling for his head. Now that he is leaving, we're showering him in flowers and chocolates, and I'm in that category. You know, I've not been Arsene Wenger's biggest fan for a long time. You know, I've been, you know, wanting him out for weeks, months, years even. You know, I've been wanting Arsene Wenger out for a long time, and I have said some particularly not very nice and very fruitful things regarding Arsene Wenger, but, you know, I still have respect for him, and I still admire and appreciate everything that he's done for Arsenal Football Club. You know, and the reason why I was getting so annoyed is with every other Arsenal fan is because he wasn't going. And I really generally, sincerely believe that Arsene Wenger's departure from Arsenal in the long run is what's best for this football club. You know, and I generally mean that, because, you know, Arsenal have been on a downward spiral, a decline that has been bubbling for years and years. There had to be a turning point, and there has to be a change. You know, and having a new manager with his new tactics, combined with, you know, reshaping and rechanging the entire club, and, you know, cutting out all of the shit players. There's a lot of dead weight in that club, and there is a catalogue of players that are simply not good enough to be an Arsenal player. You know, they're not good enough to wear the Arsenal shirt. There is a lot of dead weight that we need to eradicate from the football club, combined with the new tactics and the new regime from the brand new staff that are going to be recruited alongside the new manager. There is going to be a lot of wholesome changes that are desperately needed to make Arsenal get to where they need to be, and where they want to be, and where they should to be, really. You know, as a fan myself, you know, there are minimum targets, you know, the absolute minimum targets that I expect Arsenal Football Club to reach season upon season. You know, at the absolute minimum, I expect Arsenal to be in the Champions League season upon season. No matter how we perform in the Champions League, I expect us to have an invitation to the Champions League. And that invitation is only acquired if you get, you know, top 4 in the Premier League or win the Europa League. I expect Arsenal to be there, and I've known Arsenal for my entire life, apart from these, you know, this last year and now going into my second year. There are only 2 seasons of the entire decade that I've supported Arsenal Football Club that Arsenal have failed to reach a Champions League spot. So that is the absolute minimum. I expect Arsenal to challenge for Premier League titles, not necessarily win Premier League titles, although we need to win more Premier League titles. But I expect us to at least challenge, you know, give the title rivals a good go. At this particular minute, 60 points. We're probably going to end the Premier League season being off Manchester City by a staggering 40 points. 40 points is absolutely criminal. And for Arsenal, they need to do better. And at the very maximum, if we're exceeding targets, that is to win a trophy every 2 years. I expect Arsenal to claim a piece of silverware every 2 years, but at the very minimum, get into the Champions League, challenge for the title, put together a decent cup run, and get a trophy every 18 months. You know, because Arsenal are a big club. You know, and if you look at the history and the foundations of Arsenal Football Club, they've always been successful, and they've always been one of the biggest clubs in, not just in England, but in the world. And those standards have dropped, and they have dropped suddenly and dramatically. So, you know, Arsene Wenger leaving and a new manager coming in, despite having a transitional period, and it's going to be a transitional period filled with, you know, problems. There are going to be problems. It is not going to be a quick fix. It is going to be a, you know, a long, kind of like a trial and error, really. It is going to be trial and error, really, with this new manager, and you're probably going to have to give it a couple of months to really just smooth over the transition from Arsene Wenger leaving to the new manager finding his feet, finding how the Premier League works, and all of that, you know, razzle-dazzle, really. And, you know, that is just, you know, a waiting game, incidentally. But it is going to be, in the long run, beneficial for the football club, and I generally believe that. You know, whether we have the experienced manager or the young protege, no matter what man walks in to become the brand new manager of Arsenal Football Club, it's going to take time regardless, and we as fans have got to understand that and be patient. You know, patience is a virtue, and that virtue hopefully will be rewarded with, you know, success ultimately we want success in the next couple of years. So, you know, Arsene Wenger leaving is a good thing. I've wanted it for many, many years. But now that we know that he is leaving, we've got to send him off in the best possible way. Because he's done wonders for Arsenal Football Club. He's done absolute wonders from Arsenal Football Club. And that is why I'm not ranting or raving or doing anything of that nature, you know, anymore. Because, you know, there's no point in ranting and raving at Arsene Wenger. He's going. He's leaving. Or, you know, sacked is the better word for it. So now it's down to the players to stand up and be counted. As you saw against Atletico, they couldn't do that. You know, they generally couldn't do that. Despite how unfortunate we were, they couldn't do that for Arsene Wenger, unfortunately. But it's not down to Arsene Wenger anymore. It is solely and loosely down to those players. And those players have got to stand up and be counted. So, for me, you know, Arsene Wenger has been great. He's been absolutely, you know, tremendous at Arsenal Football Club. From what he did in terms of revolutionising English football to how he, you know, prolonged the careers of players that potentially were reaching the end of their careers. He brought us Thierry Henry. He brought us Patrick Vieira. He brought us Ljungberg, Pires, Van Persie, Sanchez, Ozil, Fabregas. You know, you've got a catalogue, a whole host of players that have provided us as Arsenal fans with golden moments. Moments that we will never ever forget. Moments that we would take to our deathbeds, really. And, no, not just that, but the business plan that Arsene Wenger has put in has been absolutely tremendous. And I'm speaking about the move from Highbury to the Emirates. The fact that Arsene Wenger managed to oversee a move from Highbury to the Emirates, which in a transitional period, competing and playing games, is never ever straightforward. We've seen it with Tottenham's, you know, refurbishment recently, and with when new clubs, you know, like West Ham, when they moved from, you know, Upton Park to the London Stadium, you saw a whole host of problems and, you know, trials and tribulations that faced West Ham. Arsenal didn't have that. Arsene Wenger managed to transition aside from one stadium to another. He managed to pay off a debt that Arsenal Football Club owed the providers who built the stadium, and also continually getting Arsenal into the Champions League. When you had the Sir Alex Ferguson Manchester United teams of Cristiano Ronaldo, of Rooney, when, you know, Manchester United were absolutely just blowing teams to the slaughter. When you had Chelsea spending buckets upon buckets upon buckets, you know, hiring, you know, 20, 30 different managers, but constantly, you know, competing for Premier League titles. And then you had, you know, Manchester City spending buckets upon buckets upon buckets to compete. You then had Liverpool with, you know, Fernando Torres, Luis Suarez becoming competitive. And also, you know, you had the Tottenham teams kind of, you know, with Mauricio Pochettino recently coming in and, you know, taking Tottenham back up to where they want to be. Also with Harry Redknapp getting Spurs into the Champions League every so often. So, you know, Arsenal had fierce competition. They didn't have the budget that they would, you know, potentially and realistically should have had in order to compete with those sides. That's why they could never go for Premier League titles. And to constantly get us into the Champions League, you know, that is a fantastic achievement. You know, once we've paid off the debt, and this is where Arsene Wenger's managerial career slightly declined. You know, you pay off the debt. You've got no debts to pay. You've got a squad that is clearly capable of, you know, competing and challenging for a Premier League title. And you become worse and worse and worse and worse. And that is why Arsene Wenger is going. You know, I've heard so many people say that us as Arsenal fans are hypocrites, that we are, you know, on one hand we want Arsene Wenger to leave, we want him to go, and then now that he's going, we're showering him with, you know, flowers and chocolates, like I said before. But you've got to bear in mind is that my biggest problem with Wenger, and the reason why I got so frustrated and so angry and so annoyed and why I wanted him to go, is because he thought he was bigger than Arsenal Football Club, and that I felt he was so stubborn that he felt he could still take this football club and take them back to ultimate glory. And that glory ship had well and truly set sail. And if he has been sacked, it means that he still, in his heart of heart, believes that he can still save this Arsenal side. And frankly, it is unsavable. Unsavable, is that really a word? But it is. It's unsavable. It's unavoidable. It's gone. Time is well and truly up for Arsene Wenger. And, you know, when you look at this Arsenal side, where they are right now, to have 12 defeats out of 36 with the squad that we've got is disastrous. To not have any trophies to show for it, that is disastrous. And I mean that in the most sincere possible way, because, you know, we are underperforming like mad. And, you know, one thing that I think people are forgetting, look at the teams that we had when we got into the Champions League. When we had Jovino, Nasri, Van Persie, Yaya Sanogo, Marouane Chamakh. To the side where we had Alexandre Lacazette, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Mesut Ozil, Granit Xhaka, Aaron Ramsey. I know those players, not Aubameyang or Lacazette, but like Ozil, Sanchez, Ramsey got into the Champions League in 14, 15, 15, 16. But looking at our squad now to the squad that we had a decade ago, 8 years ago maybe, we have a much superior squad to the squad that we did have before, and we got into the Champions League, and now we are missing out on Champions League football for a second consecutive season. And that is really why Arsene Wenger is leaving now. People are saying, well, us as Arsenal fans, we've driven Arsene Wenger out. And yes, you could argue that the lack of empty seats, the amount of empty seats, not the lack of empty seats, the amount of empty seats that are at the Emirates recently over the last couple of months is staggering, and your board are going to pick that up as a target, and that is going to be a sheer red flag that is hovering at them. Empty seats, losing revenue coming into the stadium because of having the stadium half full is a problem, and it's a problematic problem, particularly as Arsenal in recent years have always moulded as a business. They've always been a business, and they will continue to run as a business. They don't care about winning the Premier League title. They may say they do, but they don't. We've gone, what is it now, almost 15 years without a Premier League title. You really think if they cared about winning the Premier League title, then Arsene Wenger would have been long gone way before. He generally would have gone way before if they cared about getting a Premier League title. All they care about is the financial equity, and until this moment the financial equity has been decent, because if you think about it logically and realistically, right, if Arsene Wenger was getting sacked because of not just the empty seats at the Emirates, which is a contributing factor, but also being sacked because of the constant hostility and negativity that is being shown from Arsenal fans on social media and outside the ground, all the protests and whatnot. Well, we had that last season, and he got a 2-year contract extension. We've had Arsenal fans being up in arms about Wenger for a good 4 or 5 years, and nothing's changed, and nothing will change. So that kind of argument is invalid, right? And I know I'm sprouting, and I know I'm rambling, but this is what I wanted to talk about on Sunday's video, because speaking about Arsene Wenger's final home game brought me to all of these reasons, because it really does aggravate and anger me when I see so many people blaming us as Arsenal fans for the reason Arsene Wenger's being sacked, right? Think about it from a business stem, right? Because for, what is it now, when he moved from Highbury to the Emirates, okay, like 12 years, okay, about 12 years, Arsene Wenger is getting Arsenal into the Champions League. Great. He's won 3 out of 4 FA Cups in the last 4 years. 3 FA Cups out of 4 in the last, 4 years. Great. Getting trophies, that pleases the fans. It papers over the cracks. But he's getting Arsenal into the Champions League. And by getting Arsenal into the Champions League, that means that the financial equity, we're getting good money coming in. Because let's be fair, you get a nice amount of money coming in, and you also attract better players if you're in the Champions League, right? He's doing that, okay, right? But then after that moment, after that point, right, look at what happened in the last 2 seasons, right? Where have Arsenal finished last season? 5th. Where have Arsenal finished this season? 6th. Okay? 5th last season, 6th this season. What does that justify? Not getting into the Champions League. Not getting Champions League football. What does that do? You lose money. The financial equity is no more. So the board is sitting there going, oh, Mr. Wenger, we're losing money from not people turning up at the Emirates, no people turning up at the Emirates, and we're now not in the Champions League for a second consecutive season. And you're wondering why Arsene Wenger is now leaving. For 2 consecutive seasons, we've not got into the Champions League, and we've not won the Europa League, so we're not going to get into the Champions League through that avenue. And where we are right now with no trophies, we're losing money. We're losing astronomical amounts of money. And that is why Arsene Wenger is leaving. Now, obviously, after 22 years of service, you're not just going to be like, well, you're now sacked. A mutual consent, or we'll say that you're stepping down and you're leaving on your own terms. If you fail to do so, if you refuse that, then we will sack you, is what I imagine the board have said to Arsene Wenger. So, we are a contributing factor for not turning up to games at the Emirates Stadium. It does, actions speak louder than words. But are you really happy? Is there any Arsenal fan out there happy with Arsene Wenger continuing to be the Arsenal manager? Generally ask me that question, because I don't think anyone's out there is going to be giving me the answer, right? So this is the moment where we give him the send-off that he deserved. And Sunday, it really did bring a tear to my eye. And you can clearly see that Arsene Wenger has been sacked. You know, you can clearly see it because the way that he was reacting, how he was talking, and how he was saying, you know, how he miss Arsenal Football Club, he's always an Arsenal fan. Why would you leave if you are that much in love with Arsenal Football Club and you're that much of an Arsenal fan? Just like when Thierry Henry left. He left because he wanted to be competitive and he knew that he wasn't going to win the Champions League, you know, staying at Arsenal. So he had to go to Barcelona in order to enhance his career. You know, it's the same thing really. So the send-off was lovely, it was warming, it was rewarding, and it really was a nice, you know, send-off to a man that has given us so much and given us basically the Emirates Stadium and will always give us that. You know, he really generally deserves a stadium, or not a stadium, he really generally deserves a statue outside the stadium because that's how much of an Arsenal legend he is. In terms of the actual performance of the game, you know, Arsenal beating Burnley by 5-0. It was typical Wenger ball, really. It was typical Wenger football. It was slightly frustrating to watch because I was sitting there and thinking to myself, where was his performance against Atletico? You know, we dominated possession against Atletico in both legs. We created countless chances. We just weren't clinical. On Sunday, we were clinical. We were absolutely clear cusp clinical. You know, from minute 1 to minute 90, every single pass was inch perfection, or inch perfect, shall we say. You know, every shot had meaning. Burnley didn't really create anything going, you know, forward themselves. Defensively, we're absolutely superb and on the ball. And, you know, Lacazette and Aubameyang, Iwobi, Bellerin, you know, everybody that has not put in 110%, everyone put in 110% on Sunday. And it was a fitting end to a fitting home game, a last home game from Arsene Wenger. And that was really nice to see. Confirms that we will finish in 6th guaranteed. Burnley have got one more game left. They will finish on 57 points. You know, we probably will finish on 66 should we beat Leicester City and Huddersfield in our remaining 2 Premier League away games. So, you know, it looks like we're going to finish on 66 points. As if we don't drop any further points. But, you know, we need... I'm going to come on to my match preview talking about our away record. But we're guaranteed finishing in 6th. And this is now just about sending Wenger off in the best possible way and then going again for next season, really. And I know I've spent, well, I think I spent about 22 minutes giving my kind of match review on that. But I really wanted just to showcase my thoughts and feelings on Wenger. I know I've said a couple of those in the past. But, like, generally, I really wanted to really express why I do respect Wenger and why I find it really annoying, infuriating and frustrating how many people are blaming us as Arsenal fans and also labelling us as hypocrites for the fact that we're now showering Arsene Wenger in praise and love. I will put down in the description below the times of it, so when the match, you know, review of Arsenal Burnley starts and when the match preview of Leicester City Arsenal begins. And this is where the match... match preview. I'm getting confused myself. It's been a long day. This is where the match preview of Leicester City against Arsenal begins. Because these are our final 2 away games. And as you know, we do not have an away point in 2018. Not even a win. We don't even have a point in 2018. We've lost all of our away games in the Premier League in 2018. I think we've only won 3 games away from home this season. Against Everton, against Burnley, and against Crystal Palace. 3 games, 3 wins out of, I don't know how many away games you get in the season, but, you know, that's not great. You know, we've been absolutely shocking away from home. You know, our home form has been encouraging, to say the least. You know, away from home has really let us down, and it is just, it's a despicable record not to even have one single away win in 2018 in the Premier League, shall we say, in the Premier League, not in Europe, because we have one away from home in European football this season. But, you know, Leicester City against Arsenal. Leicester City playing Arsenal is always a good encounter. It's giving me some tasty moments. I remember when we beat them 5-2 at the King Power Stadium and Leicester City start winning the season. The Danny Welbeck 90th minute winning goal on Valentine's Day 2016. Last season we drew 0-0 with them at the King Power. And then we beat them, I think, only by a 1-0 last season. So we don't normally lose to Leicester City. We do pick up a couple of draws here and there. But when I look at Leicester City, they've really got nothing to play for, really. They've basically, they're a mid-table, you know, secure. They're in the safe, solid, you know, safety net of being, you know, in a mid-table finish. They've got the security of finishing in mid-table. Not going to have any repercussions, no impact. They're just, you know, finishing off a fixture list, really. And, yeah, they've lost 14 games. They've won 11. They've drawn 11. Not the worst. Not the best record, but certainly not the worst record. But, you know, it should be a decent game. Obviously, you know, Vardy, Mahrez are quite, you know, worrying, and when they're on form, they can cause us problems. But I think you're going to see Arsenal, just like they did against Burnley, absolutely batter. I think we're going to batter Leicester City, going to batter Huddersfield, and Wenger's going to, you know, walk out of Arsenal Football Club with 3 great performances, 3 good wins, and a rebuilding job, really. You know, and I think he's going to play the same team that he played on Sunday, away from home. You know, and, you know, it is big to a point, even though there's not really any Premier League points to play for. It's big, and, you know, you don't want the new manager coming in and having that heightened pressure of having to ensure that he gets into, you know, gets a away win, you know, shall I say. I was kind of going on a tangent there. But, you know, you want him to come into Arsenal Football Club next season and have that feeling that he doesn't have to have added pressure of getting an away win. Because, you know, if you don't have an away win in 2018 going into the new season, everyone each week is going to be saying, well, you know, you've got to win it today, so Arsenal get their first away, you know, point or 3 points of the season. If we lose to Leicester City and Huddersfield, I generally will be very, very perplexed and very, very shocked. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think we are going to win and pass these final 2 away tests with flying colours, which means we would get 5 away wins this season, which still isn't great. But a good morale end to the season, a good way to end Arsene Wenger's career as Arsenal. His penultimate game as Arsenal manager, his penultimate away Premier League game before the end of the season. And, you know, tomorrow will be the penultimate analysing Arsenal video before our final match preview and final match review of the season. And then analysing Arsenal will be done. I can't believe the season is actually drawing to a close, really. So in terms of my prediction, I'm going to go for a 3-1 Arsenal win. I think Leicester City probably will even score the first goal, maybe. You know, Jamie Vardy, Riyad Mahrez might get on the score sheet should they play. But I think Aubameyang and Lacazette, you know, I actually think, mark my word, I think Jacob will score tomorrow. I have this bold feeling, but not really anything to play for tomorrow. Just to get an away point or away win on the board. And just, you know, generally I think it's going to be a good and exciting game. It always is between Leicester City and Arsenal. And let's just get behind the team, get behind Arsene Wenger, send him off in the best possible way, and then look ahead to the future, really. So I really hope you've enjoyed it. I do apologise there's not been any videos over the weekend and over the last couple of days. I will be bringing out my match review of the game between Leicester City and Arsenal after the game has commenced tomorrow night, before I then do a match. I think it's going to be analysing Arsenal all week. Do a match preview, match review of the final day of the season, and I am working on editing videos. They will be out as soon as possible. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, a very long match preview, and I didn't really intend it to be this long. I just wanted to get my thoughts and feelings and just let you guys sit back, relax, and hear me ramble on for half an hour or so. So if you've enjoyed it, please make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new around here, check out my great content as well. Follow me on Twitter at DJ998, and until tomorrow, this is DJ Bagpuss signing out. Take care, and I shall speak to you all later. Take care, and I shall see you all very, very, very soon. Until tomorrow, guys. Take care.